Hi everybody, it's Peter Schiff and it is Wednesday, June 2nd, 2010. And I wanted to record a follow-up to yesterday's video on how not to buy gold. So if you haven't watched yesterday's video, make sure and watch it because you need to watch that video to appreciate this one. Anyway, I was talking yesterday about the controversy surrounding Goldline, Glenn Beck, and Congressman Weiner. Now, when I started the video yesterday, I mentioned that the congressman had a point, at least in one part of his allegation, which I think is going to create a lot of problems, in that Goldline, I believe, is in fact, overcharging its clients for the gold coins that they're buying, and may in fact be using fraudulent sales practices. I don't know, maybe they are, maybe they're not, to induce people to overpay for these coins, and marketing coins as having numismatic value that in reality possess very little to no numismatic value. But of course, most of the people who are calling Goldline, my opinion is, they're not looking to become coin collectors. They're not calling Goldline because they want numismatic coins. They want a hedge against inflation. They want to buy gold as a store of value. And if they're doing that, they shouldn't even be looking at numismatic coins. They should just be buying bullion. You see, part of Congressman Weiner's allegation is that there's this vast conspiracy between these talk show hosts and Goldline. Talk show hosts like Glenn Beck are scaring the public. They're saying all these things that aren't true to get people afraid of Barack Obama and big government so that they can steer them to Goldline, who promptly rips them off. Now, I know that's not the case at all. I know Glenn Beck would be talking about gold even if there wasn't a single gold company advertising on his show. You see, Glenn Beck understands that the policies that are being pursued in Washington by the Federal Reserve, by Congress, by the Obama administration are going to lead to runaway inflation. That all the money that we're printing to bail out companies, to prop up industries, to artificially stimulate the economy, to grow the government, all this money is going to produce runaway inflation, especially when the foreigners who've been buying our bonds stop buying them and we have to really crank up the printing presses. The end result is a destruction of the dollar. And if Glenn believes that, and I believe that, it makes perfect sense that he's talking about gold. And certainly, if you got these talk shows with big audiences that are talking about gold and talking about inflation and needing to protect yourself, it stands to reason that gold companies would want to advertise. I mean, it's no accident, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when you have these hosts like Glenn Beck, it's not simply that Goldline is advertising on his program. He's actually endorsing the company personally by saying, I buy my gold there, I can trust them. And that's what everybody is saying, that they're the best place to buy gold. These are people you can trust. And it's my opinion that you can't. And so what I'm afraid of is that if people like Glenn Beck continue to defend Goldline, they are handing Weiner an issue that he might otherwise not have. And, I'm willing to give Glenn the benefit of the doubt at this point that maybe he doesn't understand this industry. Maybe he doesn't really understand bullion versus numismatics and how the rare coin world operates and how the bullion market operates. You see, if you want to buy rare coins, if you want to buy numismatic or these antique coins, you don't do that because you think the price of gold is going to go up. It's like if you want to collect baseball cards, you're not buying them because you think the price of paper is going to go up. The fact that a baseball card is made of paper, the paper means nothing. You're buying it because it's rare, because it's unique, because a lot of people don't have that card. Well, that's what happens in rare coins. People want to buy a rare coin that's rare. That means there's not a lot of coins in existence. And what makes a rare coin valuable is that it is in pristine condition. It is uncirculated, and legitimate numismatic coins are graded by, PCGS is the most reputable company. I would not buy a rare coin without a PCGS grading on it. But when you're buying a rare coin, you're not making a gold investment, right? You're collecting a coin. You're buying it because you like it, because you think it's beautiful, because you want to possess it. When people are buying bullion as a hedge against inflation, they don't care what it looks like. They're just going to stack it up and they're going to put it in a safe. Right? It's not a work of art. You're trying to buy bullion. And that is the problem. When people are calling up Goldline because they have heard Glenn Beck or other commentators and they believe them, and what they're saying I believe is true, and they need to buy gold, it's unfortunate that a salesman is instead turning them on to these numismatic coins that they really don't want. And I think they tell them things to get them to buy these coins that, in my opinion, aren't necessarily true. Now, I hear, Glenn Beck, talking about the company and trying to describe, what they're doing, because Wiener is comparing the price they're selling to the melt value. And, of course, that's important when you're talking about a bullion coin, but it's irrelevant when you're talking about a numismatic coin. But the coins, a lot of these coins that they're selling are not numismatic coins. They're really bullion coins being marketed as numismatic coins. Now, Glenn is kind of comparing his analysis to furniture. He said, well, a piece of furniture, it's worth a lot more than the wood that it's made of. If you cut it up into pieces of wood and say this is all it's worth, but that's not the right analysis. When people are buying furniture, they're not buying the wood. They're buying a couch or a chair. They want the utility of the furniture. They want the beauty of the furniture. They don't want the wood. They want all the craftsmanship that went into the furniture. That's not what you're doing when you're buying bullion coin because you think there's going to be inflation. You want to get the most bullion for your money, and if you're making an investment, you want to have the smallest transaction cost possible. You don't want to need the market to have a 50 or 100% move to break even. You want to be able to break even on just a small move so that you can make a profit, and if the market goes down, you don't get completely destroyed, which is the case when you dramatically overpay for coins. When you're buying a legitimate rare coin, you could buy a rare coin, for example, that's $20,000 for one coin, even though it might only have 1 ounce of gold in it. Now, what happens if the price of gold goes up 5 or 10 times? Well, that coin can actually go down in value. Who knows? Of course, that coin can go up in value even if the price of gold goes down. In fact, if we have real runaway inflation, if we have a real depression, inflationary depression, if times get really tough, I would expect some of these rare coins to come down in value quite a bit relative to bullion coins, because in tough times, there's not a lot of people who want to add to their coin collection. Most likely, you got some coin collectors who need money. Maybe they lost money in the stock market. They lost money in real estate, and they need to sell something, and they want to sell their coin. And there's not a lot of people who want to buy the coin, so it goes down. I mean, a lot of people don't know the difference. And I think what happens at a lot of gold companies, not just Goldline, but all sorts of gold companies, they market the bullion coins, the Maple Leafs, the Cougarans. A lot of companies use them as a loss leader. They advertise them very inexpensively because they know people shop around. But then when people call in, they use the old bait and switch where you call in about a Maple Leaf and the salesman tells you about some rare coin that you need to buy. And the reason the salesman is interested in getting you to buy a rare coin is because there the markups are a lot bigger. As I said yesterday, in bullion, the markups might be 1 to 3%. That's not a lot. But in rare coins, they can be 10, 15, 20%. Now, of course, the markups that I see Goldline charging are just obscene. But even a 15 to 20% markup, that's a big difference. I mean, the broker can make 10 times the money if he convinces a prospect to buy a rare coin versus buying a bullion coin. So if you are concerned about inflation, if you're worried about a weak dollar and you want to preserve your wealth, don't even think about numismatic coins. Just think about bullion coins. Now, if you do want to have some fancier coins, like U.S. old coins or some of the European coins that Goldline is marking up so dramatically, you can buy them from more reputable dealers that are only going to charge you maybe a 5% premium over what you can buy a Maple Leaf or a Cougaran at. But these are circulated coins. They are old, but they aren't particularly rare because there's plenty of them. And of course, since they're circulated, they're not in pristine condition. A lot of features of the coin could be rubbed off because they were in use so much. But if you want to have a mixture and if you want to have some of those coins, that's fine. But the reason that we're buying gold is to protect ourselves from inflation. But again, what I am afraid is that if we see the commentators like Glenn Beck continue to go to bat for Goldline as if what they're doing is legitimate, I think it is strengthening Wiener's argument. He really doesn't have an argument. I think his overlying premise is wrong. And what I would like to see is someone like Glenn Beck, do a little bit more research into this company. Look at the competitors. Look at what the market is out there and realize that he made a mistake and acknowledge that he made a mistake, that he shouldn't have been recommending Goldline, that he should be recommending somebody else, a coin company that is treating his listeners a lot better. Anyway, that's it. I hope I cleared things up. Take care.